Hi everyone, welcome back to SmugMug Live. I am your host, Alastair Jolly. As always, thank you so much for joining us today for episode 102. SmugMug Live is brought to you, of course, by SmugMug, an incredible place to host and showcase your images to the world with a fantastic photo website. If you're looking for somewhere to store all your images in the cloud, and now including RAWs with the wonderful addition of SmugMug Source, or if you're looking for an e-commerce solution to sell and get your prints into the hands of your clients and customers, then check out everything we do here at smugmug.com. And of course, also brought to you by the best photo community in the world, Flickr.com. If you're looking to be part of a community that shares the passion for photography like you do, then please check out Flickr.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sorry, I'm starting a little bit later than usual. Other commitments had me starting 15 minutes or so later than we typically live stream here on the show. But I can see some of you in the chat there already. Of course, it's always great to see you in that live chat window. Give yourself a shout out. Let me know what part of the world you're joining me from. It's so great to see people joining me from all over the world. Mike is back with us this week. Hi, Mike. Joining us from Cincinnati, Ohio. Photobug582 is joining us. It's Patricia from Alma in Arkansas. Always have to pause before I say Arkansas. Thank you for giving yourself a shout out. I encourage the rest of you watching to give yourself a shout out. I probably am only going to be with you for about 30 to 45 minutes today, mostly because I have to do this show with the air conditioning turned off so that you're not hearing all the background noise, and I might melt away if I have to keep the air conditioning off for longer than that. And yes, I am in Scotland, but it is incredibly warm here by Scottish standards today. So thank you. Hey, Morrow, good to see you back. Morrow, you're here every week, and I love the fact you're here joining us, typically from Ljubljana in the beautiful country of Slovenia. But Morrow, I'd love you to give me a confirmation if I am pronouncing your name correctly. Is Morrow the correct way to say it? After all these weeks, I might be doing you a disservice. Ernest is joining us from Robbinsville, New Jersey. Hi from New Jersey. Nick was just watching the SmugMug webinar. Fear of missing out, so you've come over here instead. Cool, thanks Nick, good to see you again. I've reached out to you, Nick, because we need to connect. Stuart is joining us all the way from South Africa, Port Elizabeth. Port Elizabeth, beautiful part of the world. Been very, very fortunate to be in Port Elizabeth, Stuart, on my way to a little town called Ganubi. Beautiful, beautiful part of the world, Stuart. I hope everybody is safe and sound over there. Thank you for joining us today. So tips and tricks episode today. But we have covered an awful lot in 102 episodes. As I say every week, if you are joining me here for the first time this week, then you have a huge back catalogue of information that you can work your way through. 102 episodes, many of them tips and tricks episodes, and a lot of great inspiration and motivations from some incredible guests. So please go back and check out the previous episodes here. I've created a couple of playlists for you. One is called SmugMug Live playlist, where you can see all the episodes, but there's another one called SmugMug Live Tips and Tricks playlist, where it's just episodes about me concentrating on working on the SmugMug site and some information there. Morrow says you are pronouncing it right. Well, Italian living in Slovenia, so Morrow. I am glad that you confirmed that I'm pronouncing that right. Hi, Tim. Tim joining us from another beautiful part of the world, Kenya, and Patrick is here from another beautiful part of the world, England. So great to see you all back here. Here's what I want to do for the next 30 minutes or so. I will start things off with just a little couple of quick tips and tricks. I want you all watching live to drive the show today for the next 30 minutes. So if you have a question that I can answer by demonstrating something on the site, something that you maybe want me to go over again, or want to know a little bit more about, or just have a recap, please ask the question in the chat window. Start your question with the word question. That way I'll be able to find it. There's a good bunch of you in there, so hopefully get a few questions that will help drive this episode. because sad face, this is the last episode for a number of weeks. Maybe 3 or 4 weeks. We're going to have a little break on SmugMug Live. I am taking some time off with my family for the summer, so I'm getting a couple of weeks vacation. So we're not going to be doing SmugMug Live for the next next 3 weeks probably at least. So this is the last episode before probably the mid to late August. It's been an absolute blast doing 102 episodes over the last 15 months or whatever. So let's go out to the summer break by answering some of your pressing questions. That would make this show a lot of fun for me and hopefully beneficial to yourselves. So you're all joining me from some incredible parts of the world. So if you don't have a question for me regarding tips and tricks on how to use the site, tell me about your photography as well. Tim, I know your work from Kenya, but it'd be great if you gave yourself a shout out and let people know the type of work you do. All of you who are regular guests here on the show, it'd be great to see a little shout out to the type of work that you do. So we'll cover some of that if you post that in the chat for me as well. But yeah, some questions. Give yourselves a shout out about the type of photography you do, and hopefully that will cover the next 30 minutes or so. And then I'll go get the air conditioning back on before I melt away. I know you're in Kenya and you're Slovenia and you're probably all laughing saying it can't be that warm in Scotland, but for us it is. It's all relative. Right, let's jump over to this site. You're all familiar with my AMG demo site by now, those of you that have been with me for many, many weeks. We've spent a lot of time on this site, doing lots of bits and pieces, and apologise. You'll see me constantly looking over the chat today just because I want to keep an eye on the chat window. But I've done many things to this site over the many months that we've been here doing tips and tricks episodes. But what I'll start by doing is a little refresh of what this homepage is and how this homepage is built, just to get the episode going and to give you some time to think up some questions. So, of course, whenever you want to do something on your site, you have to head over to the customize section. It's slightly hidden up there by my show logo, but up there in the very top it says customize. You click on that customize button and it opens the customizer section of SmugMug, many of which I'm kind of hiding in this little picture, but I'll move myself if I need to. The navigation section at the top tells you what part of your SmugMug site you're working on, because you can edit the entire site, so you can edit elements of every page. So on every page of my website, my logo's at the top. I have my navigation bar just underneath that, and then the content of the individual pages. But if you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice that my homepage is slightly different. Your homepage can be independent from the design of your entire site. So I've customized the home page here. So by clicking on the home page in the navigation section, I'm just working on the home page. And just above my picture here, there's a handy list of all the things that are currently on that page. So on the home page, I currently have a spacer content block. And if I hover over that word spacer, you'll see the content block appears blue on the page. So I have a spacer block, which I'm using to push down the next content block, which is my logo content block. Beneath that, I have a separator, which is just that thin line. So a separator content block, which is just used to add a bit of design element to it. Then I have my navigation menu. Let me just scroll up a little bit. I have my navigation menu. I have another separator, which is just another thin line underneath my menu, and then right at the bottom I have my social icons down there in the footer of the page, so that they're always at the bottom of the page. And these are all content blocks. If this is your first episode here and you're trying to get into it, I'm going to direct you to all the previous episodes here on Tips and Tricks, where we go through all the content blocks about what they do. We go through what a content block and how you use it to design your site. But if you can imagine, content blocks are like building blocks, little pieces of Lego, if you like, that you can join either beside each other or on top of the bottom of each other, and use those to build up your page by sticking blocks together. And then, of course, lots of different content blocks that you can add to your site, as I say, that we've gone through before. So let's just look at this home page and just describe what's going on here. So we have these content blocks. As I say, the spacer one at the top is to push everything down more into the middle of the page. And you can go to the settings and decide how big that spacer is going to be if you wanted all these other content blocks further down the page. My logo itself, just a content block that I've uploaded my logo to here. It's just a little sketch of a camera. The AMJ demo is text that I've added to the instructions of the content block. And then there's a whole episode about building a navigation menu. So these are all just kind of stuck below each other. And if I hit the preview button up here at the top right, then I'll be taken to have a look at the page, and you can see how the spacer bar at the top is moved my logo into a nice position right in the center of the screen. I'm sure you're all screaming at me, but what about the background? Of course, in the background of my homepage, we have this looping video of a kind of cloud time lapse, and that is worked on over here on the background tab of the customizer. If I click on that, you can see that, again, we've covered this in previous episodes. You can choose all different types of background for your homepage. There can be none, of course. If I click none, it'll disappear and it'll just be a color from my theme for the page. If I choose a photo, I can pick an individual photo to fill that whole page, that whole screen of my homepage. I could create a slideshow, so I could create a gallery or pick images to play in a slideshow that plays as the background to my homepage. Or as you saw there, I had chosen a video. When you choose a video, or if you choose a picture or a gallery, you obviously have to tell the system which one you want to play. So you go over here to the video icon. I'm going to go to my site files. Another little tip and trick for you: when you're building your SmugMug site, create a gallery called site files or site assets or web icons or my files, whatever you want to call them. Some people even call it like site assets do not delete, and it's just an unlisted gallery. That means nobody will see that gallery when they come to your site, but you can use the content of that gallery to design your site. So if I open this gallery, there's only one video in it, so the video picker is only going to allow me to pick that one video. But in there, I could also have all in that gallery are all the files, my logo, my profile picture, my text, anything that I want to use can be in that gallery. Just so that you're aware, I'll hide my picture just now, but you can see here in red, it's asking for a fallback image. A fallback image is an image that will be used on your homepage if the video doesn't work. So let's just choose that one as a fallback image. And when I say the video doesn't work, that means some people have the ability on their web browsers to block certain media. They've activated don't show me pop-ups, don't show me videos, don't show me content I don't want to see, so they maybe block these videos. So we put a fallback picture in there if somebody has video blocked on their browser settings. So that's what that little fallback picture was from. So just a little talk through about the homepage and what it consisted of, just to get things started today. And of course, whenever you make any changes to your site, you go to the very top right and hit the button that says done. When you hit the done button, You're going to be given 3 choices. You can publish those changes that you've made now. That way they'll be live to anybody who views your website. You can save those changes for later, meaning it doesn't change your current website view to your audience, but we've stored those design changes in the background so you can continue customizing it at a later date from where you left off. Or you can throw away those changes that I've just made and it won't change anything, and it will go back to the last saved or last published website. So I've just hit publish just to publish those changes. Right, let's see how we're doing with some questions from the audience. Let's see who's joining us. Oh, Scott's in the house. Hey, Scott. Hello from IL. Is that Illinois? You can help me with the IL. Right, Mike has a question. Let's see, Mike. When selecting a new site design, how can you readjust the size being displayed on the background page? When selecting a new site design, how can you readjust the size being displayed on the background page? The size of the image of the background, like the background video that I've just shown you. Typically these things aren't adjustable. We'll show it kind of full resolution, or make the image on a background image, make it fit the device that someone's viewing it from. The problem is people view it on all different ratios, right? From big TVs to iPads to mobile devices, which all don't have the same format. So, we have to make some adjustments to how we display your website. It's called responsive technology. So we'll show your website as best as we can. What I would say about background images is be careful about what's in the extremities of the background image. Like on that video that I was showing you there's nothing. If someone has to adjust the ratio, if someone had a square template, tablet, for instance, and we were presenting this site square, there's nothing really on the extremities of that photograph that are going to be lost. So for background images, and you see the background page, I'm not sure what you mean by the background page, Mike, to be honest. But we will always try and adjust that size to fit the display size that someone is looking at the device on. So if you're concerned about a certain image that you're trying to show there, then maybe you need to be careful in the image that you choose so that it doesn't crop off someone's head. I've seen people use a lot of portraiture as their background images. And unfortunately, if we have to change the ratio, then there's a chance that that image could get cropped. Let's see. So Mike's come back. My image is being displayed in too large of a format when I switch to a new design. Sorry, Mike, struggling live to try and work out how, without obviously seeing what you do, what design you've chosen, and what's happening to the image and what image you're being used. It's kind of hard to answer that one just now. It just might be the format of the design is putting it in a ratio that's not working for you. So what I would do is maybe try different sizes, different ratios as well of that image that you want to use to see if that works. And my fallback answer, which is a bit of a cop-out, is that we have an incredible customer support team, the SmugMug Heroes. They are there 24 hours a day to answer your questions, and they can obviously dive a bit deeper because you can share your information with them. You can share your site details with them. So, Mike, I would speak to our customer support team directly about that specific questions so that they can look at your site and look specifically at your site and the design that you have there. So hope that wasn't too much of a cop-out for you there, Mike. Now let's see, Nick is saying, love the mix of tips and tricks as well as the interviews. Thank you, Nick, appreciate that. It is great to hear that feedback. Morrow's says, I've recently set up my website on SmugMug. Wonderful, great to hear it, and your tips and tricks are super useful. That is fantastic feedback. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're getting on well with the site design. Scott has come back saying, Scott, great to see you again, saying he's a nature, wildlife and macro photography. So the great thing is hopefully you can all go check out each other's work. In YouTube, go check out each other's YouTube page. I'm sure there's links to your social media and other places. Hopefully there's links to your SmugMug sites if you have them. So yeah, go have a look at that. Morrow says he's nature and wildlife to relax and meditate. Travel and people when out for work. Everyday life whenever I'm out in the city, and the occasional photography job for some local businesses and friends. That sounds like a great mix. It sounds like you have lots of great outlets for your photography there, Morrow. Nature and wildlife to relax and meditate. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely genres of photography which are more relaxing than others, and yeah, there's nothing better than just, personally strolling out in the wilderness and just taking the time to sit and enjoy nature and wildlife and try and capture some of it. Typically not so successfully for me. Let's see, Nick asked the question, can you spend a moment to chat about analytics? I think you missed the rest of your sentence there, but analytics, yeah, there's a few opportunities with analytics on the site. Let's jump over to my demo site. I may have covered this recently, Nick, but maybe you didn't. You weren't here. If you go to your account settings, which is again, hit your little profile picture at the top. If you haven't uploaded your own profile picture, sorry, it's getting hidden by the live stream logo there. But at the very top of your page, there's a little profile picture of yourself or a little silhouette of a human being. Click on that, go to your account settings. In your account settings, there's a stats tab, and this will tell you some basics about your site. It will tell you how many photos you have been viewed. Clearly you can tell this is a demo site because it has one photo view this month. It will tell you if people have left you comments, but the photo views, if you go into the details, you can get a little bit more granular about the details. You can dive in by dates, that type of thing. Let's go back to the account settings. But what I would refer you to there, Nick, is this ability to add Google Analytics or Stat Counter to your site. Both Google Analytics and Stat Counter are services that will allow you to create a profile on their system. That profile ID or project ID or analytics ID, you plug that in here to your SmugMug site. They will then have way more powerful tools to analyze the traffic that you're getting to your site. Things like Google Analytics, Stat Counter tell you page views, individual page views. They'll tell you, I believe they'll tell you what sort of devices people are viewing you for, what pages are referencing or driving people to your site. So from our stats point of view, we'll do a lot of stats with the photos and let you know how many people have looked at them and that type of thing. But to get really more business minded about your stats, then I would definitely look at learning about Google Analytics, or indeed Stat Counter as an alternative as well to get more granular detail about your site. Let's see. Nick says, wow, Tim, awesome photos on your site. Yes, I think you're talking about Tim Allen Rollinson, who is an incredible wildlife photographer. Tim, you haven't given yourself a shout out saying you're a wildlife photographer, but your profile picture says it all. And go check out Tim's site. It is absolutely incredible. Let's see if I can find another question. Morrow, will you dedicate one of your future tips and tricks sessions to web page marketing stroke SEO? Wow, it would be more than one episode, but yes, I could talk a little bit about web page marketing and SEO. SEO is a bit of a minefield. I can certainly give you some very high level information. What I've actually been trying to do is find a guest to join me on the show to talk more about SEO in general, because there's things we can help you with on the site, but the bigger world of SEO is more about what you do with your website, whether it's a SmugMug site or any other type of website. It's how you use it, what you do to it, what the content is like, how you use that content, how you change that content. So it's more than just, unfortunately, it's not just a single switch on the back end of SmugMug that just makes it all, rank top of the page. We'd love that. It's a much deeper subject than that. But it's a great question. I definitely have a note to do an episode all about SEO. But I really need to find that guest to do that. I have a couple of feelers out for some people that I know that are good in that field, to see if they will come join us here on the show. Right. Come on, I need more questions, folks. We need some more questions. Get your questions in now, and I'll be sure to cover them here while I can. But I'd love to hear, a lot of you have not told me what kind of photography you do. So get in the chat there, give yourself a shout, let us know about the genre of photography you do. You've been here for many, many weeks, many of you, so it'd be great to hear a little bit more about that. While you're thinking of some other questions, let me jump back over here, because there's another thing I wanted to point out. Right up here in the top of the page, if I go back to my main site, the photo site, the web pages, you'll see that up here in the top there's a section called Selling Tools. Now, you're only going to see this if you are on our portfolio or pro account, which is our 2 account levels that have e-commerce activated for them to allow you to sell your images for a profit. So basically sell your images to your clients through our relationship with our partner labs. One thing I wanted to point out is when you click on Selling Tools, on previous episodes I've covered sales history, building price lists, building coupons, packages, what an event does. I've done all this in previous episodes, but I'm not sure I've ever spoke about this section down at the bottom, the finances section, because this is quite important, because this is how you get paid by us. Because the way the transaction works, when someone comes to your SmugMug site, and if you have images for sale on your SmugMug site, then obviously we do all the payment handling on our end. So we handle all the credit card, debit card payments. Your customers buy images directly from the site, we take the payment, and then we send you the profit. But in order to get that profit, there's a few things that you have to set up in the account settings before we can pay you. Mostly to do with tax, unfortunately, because no matter where you are in the world, there is no escaping it. So what's important is, if you are on one of our portfolio or pro accounts, then go to this tax and payment info section. You can see here on this site it says not submitted online yet. So I haven't actually submitted any tax or payment information to the wonderful folks at SmugMug for my account. So if you click on manage, what we'll do here is we'll actually talk you through some tax filing questions. Now, there's 2 clear types of people that we need to know about. Those of us in those of you who are resident and filing taxes in the US, and those of you who are not. So you have to declare if you're filing your taxes in the US, so that we can handle that appropriately. And likewise, if you're not filing taxes in the US, you need to declare why. So if I click on yes and go to next, then this is all about basically submitting your W-9, which if you're a business in the US or an individual doing business in the US, you'll be familiar that you need a W-9. So it's really just about submitting that information here into the system, so that we have that to be able to handle all that correctly. And if you choose no, then we'll just ask you to declare why you're not filing taxes in the US. So in my instance, I'm not a resident of the United States, I'm not resident in the United States, and I do not maintain business presence in the United States. So by doing all that, we know that you don't have to submit a W-9, and we're not liable to collect tax or that type of stuff for you. So if you have one of our Portfolio Pro accounts and you are going to sell some images, then please take the time to make sure you go in here and fill in your tax and payment information so that we can send you your money. We desperately want to do that, so go fill that out. Yeah, that's an important place. In fact, if I go back there, the other thing that you'll see there is obviously if you are resident in the US, then you'll be able to apply sales tax and get your electronic 1099s for your tax filing, all that type of stuff. If you're not from the US and you are registered for tax, so for instance in the UK, if you're a VAT registered company, then you can submit your VAT registration number to us again to keep all that stuff in check as well. So lots of information in there to make sure that we're all doing the things correctly when it comes to tax, which is very important. We want to make sure that we all do that correctly. So a couple of important things to go check out in that finances section. It's really cool. Tim... yep, you're still. I was going to call you out on that actually, Tim. I need to get in touch with you about your prize that you won from the 100th show. Mostly because I was trying to get your email address from your account, and I was having a bit of difficulty doing that. But I will reach out to you, Tim, and find a way to do that and get that to you. Morrow, thanks. Hearing firsthand from SmugMug guest is great. I enjoy the Flickr community, but would like to use my website to reach out to a different audience and possibly promoting my photography. Yeah, I mean, you have a beautiful SmugMug site, you have incredible images, you want to make sure you're doing things correctly to reach as big an audience as possible. So I will try and help you with SEO as much as possible. Not being an SEO specialist, and the fact that SEO changes constantly. And when we talk about SEO, we typically are talking about how we rank on Google, and they change the goalposts an awful lot, and nobody fully understands their algorithms and exactly what to do it. The one thing I do know about SEO is if someone emails you or someone calls you, some kind of spam call, and says, "Oh, pay me money and we'll get you on the first page of Google," that's not good. It's a scam, right? That's not how it works. Anybody who's reaching out to you saying that they will help you rank on page one, it's a scam. It's not. There's no simple way to help you do that. There are people who are genuine SEO specialists who will tell you the correct things that you have to do in order to improve your ranking. Very few of them will ever guarantee where you're going to rank in advance. So yeah, that's one thing I do know is there's no simple solution. There's no trick. There used to be, I think the terminology was black hat techniques back in the day. Back in the day when websites first appeared, there's lots of things you could do to fool websites and fool search engines. Lots of things we used to do to like spam pages with keywords and that type of stuff. Now that all works against you. So yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. Okay, I am filling time here. Hopefully another couple of questions before we finish up today. Otherwise it will be a nice short episode and I can get the air conditioning on very quickly. Before we call it an end of the show, I obviously want to recap a little bit about last week's show where we announced SmugMug Source. We're all very excited about SmugMug Source here. Of course, the ability to have beautiful and very simple raw file management on SmugMug. So if you haven't yet, go check out what we're now offering as far as SmugMug Source goes, a new feature from us. I'm going to play a little trailer for that. Forgive me, it's a little bit of self-indulgence, but I'm going to play this for the next few minutes. For those of you that are not familiar with the new SmugMug Source that we just launched last Monday, while I play this, gives you an opportunity to get those last questions in, and I'll keep a little bit of an eye on the chat while we watch this little video. Be right back. Right, well, thank you for allowing me to indulge you in a little bit more promo of SmugMug Source there, but and a huge thank you to all of you who've wished me a wonderful time on my vacation. Thank you so much for that. I'm very much looking forward to a staycation, staying close to home, but heading up to the wonderful Highlands of Scotland for some hiking and biking and kayaking with the family, so it's going to be a great time. As I said, we'll be back in a few weeks' time with more tips and tricks episodes, more guests lined up, hopefully some great guests coming in the very near future. So it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure for this last little bit to talk to you about SmugMug and give you some insight, give you some motivation, inspiration. Do me a huge favour. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. That way you'll be notified when we do come back with another episode in a few weeks' time. You'll be notified through your various channels, such as here on YouTube or via our social channels. So go follow our social channels as well. Ira sneaking in there with a very last minute question. Can you get a brief definition of SEO and how it applies to our workflow? So SEO is search engine optimization. SEO is how search engines such as Google look at your website and rank it. You may ask the question, why does, if someone searches for wonderful wildlife photographer, does someone appear before you on these rankings? And it's just down to how the algorithms work. And as I say, looking to try and get someone to join me to talk about the basics of SEO and things that you can do on your site to help you rank better so that people can find you more. So search engine optimization. So thank you for the lovely wishes for my vacation. Wherever you are in the world, as always, stay safe, be kind, look after each other. I can see myself beginning to glow here because the air conditioning is off, so it's time for me to call into this episode and get the air back on. But thank you all so very much for joining me again for this other episode, and we'll see you back here very, very soon for another episode of SmugMug Live. Bye, everybody. Take care.